In the bustling environment of a local cafe, Joseph found themselves seated at a table, sipping a lukewarm coffee. The soft chatter of laughter and voices drifted around, yet Joseph felt completely alone. Around them, groups of friends shared stories, while newcomers greeted each other warmly. Joseph watched others connect and bond with ease. Each laugh rang out like a reminder of what they felt they lacked. As the minutes turned into an hour, that sense of isolation only grew stronger. Though surrounded by people, Joseph felt invisible, like a ghost passing through a cheerful, vibrant party. The pressure to fit in increased with every second. Joseph's heart raced as they felt that familiar anxiety creeping in. A voice in their head whispered doubts, suggesting Joseph was not interesting enough or funny enough to join in the cheerful conversations happening around them. The weight of social norms pushed down on Joseph's shoulders. They could not help but scrutinize their outfit, their hair, and even their choice of drink. Were they too plain? Did they seem awkward sitting alone with a book? Every little noise from the lively crowd only heightened those insecurities. Why can't I just be like them? The thought echoed in their mind. This scene is not unique to Joseph. Many people experience moments like this. Imagine being at a work event or a friend's celebration where everyone is mingling and laughing, but you feel lost among the sea of faces. At a social gathering, the excitement can quickly turn into anxiety for those who struggle with social skills. It is a common struggle. In every corner of life, from casual hangouts to important events, social pressure can make one feel isolated. People often wonder if they will connect with others or if anyone would notice if they were missing. These thoughts create a wall that seems hard to climb. The pressure to speak, to smile, and to impress others can be overwhelming. It is easy to feel that everyone else has the secret to being social, while you stand aside and worry. The truth is, this situation happens to almost everyone at some point in their lives. People from different backgrounds, ages, and places have felt the same tension. It connects us in shared experiences of difficulty and doubt. Recognizing that these feelings are universal makes it possible to relate to others on a deeper level. Understanding this shared struggle opens the door to growth. Each awkward moment can be a stepping stone toward better communication skills if we approach it with a willingness to learn and grow. By facing these problems, Joseph hopes to transform their experiences and to figure out how to engage more meaningfully with others. The first step in building these social skills starts with recognizing that they are not alone. Realizing that struggles with interaction are a common occurrence can provide comfort and encourage a journey toward improvement. Joseph is determined to take that first step, starting with the willingness to understand and enhance their social interactions. In doing so, they may find ways to embrace relationships that are both genuine and rewarding. As the clinking of coffee cups filled the air, Joseph sat quietly at a corner table in the cafe. With a book in hand, they tried to immerse themselves in its pages, but the words just floated before their eyes. Joseph wished to dive into a world of stories, yet the loud laughter and animated discussions from other patrons kept pulling them back to reality. They felt trapped in their own thoughts, longing for connection but unsure how to begin. It was a familiar feeling, a struggle that often shadowed Joseph in social situations. Every time Joseph stepped into a social environment, a wave of anxiety washed over them. The fear of not fitting in was sometimes almost paralyzing. Thoughts raced through their mind, questioning whether they could share a joke, contribute to a conversation, or meet someone new. Each second spent in that lively cafe reminded them of past encounters filled with shyness and uncertainty. Friends often told them that socializing was easy, but for Joseph, it felt like climbing a mountain. Doubts cluttered their mind. What if I say something silly? What if I don't know anyone here? These worries made it even harder to engage with those around them. Despite their kind heart and genuine intentions, the challenge of speaking up caused Joseph to feel invisible. They watched as people around them freely laughed and shared stories, all the while internally battling insecurities. On the outside, it appeared as if everyone was having fun, but Joseph felt alone while surrounded by so many faces. Time seemed to crawl as they sat in that cafe, each passing moment a reminder of the connections they wanted to forge but couldn't. This struggle was not just about being shy. It was deeper, rooted in the fear of rejection and the pressure to be liked. Joseph yearned for friendships but had no idea how to start conversations. They remembered previous encounters where they had wanted desperately to say something but remained too quiet. The missed chances stung, leaving Joseph with a growing sense of defeat. They often replayed those moments in their mind, wishing they could go back and try again. Yet, amid all the chaos of emotions, there was a flicker of hope in Joseph. Deep within, a part of them wanted to break this cycle. They believed that life could be different, and that they could learn to reach out. Envisioning a day when confidence would triumph over anxiety gave them the strength to try again. Joseph made a promise to themselves. They would find a way to overcome the fear that held them back. With every challenge, there is an opportunity to learn and grow. Joseph understood that they could transform their struggles into stepping stones toward better relationships. Determined to change, Joseph began to feel a sense of control. They took a deep breath and looked around the cafe. Perhaps, just perhaps, it was time to set small goals. Maybe they could strike up a brief conversation with a friendly face. The journey seemed daunting, but facing that fear was a step worth taking. Knowing that others have faced similar challenges inspired Joseph. Many people faced social difficulties. With this understanding, they felt ready to begin changing their story. The journey toward better social skills and more fulfilling connections was just starting, and Joseph was excited to take those first steps. With newfound determination, Joseph left the cafe that day, vowing to change their social habits. The next weekend, they found themselves at a friend's birthday party, surrounded by colorful balloons and cheerful music. The atmosphere was bright, and laughter echoed everywhere. However, the moment they stepped inside, the familiar wave of anxiety rushed back. Joseph's heart raced, feeling both eager and afraid at the same time. Would they find the courage to join the conversations? As they stood at the entrance, scanning the room, Joseph felt timid. Groups of friends chatted animatedly, exchanging stories and jokes, while others danced to the upbeat music. Joseph noticed some acquaintances, people they had met before, but the thought of approaching them felt daunting. What if I say the wrong thing? Thought Joseph. They clenched their fists, trying to fight the fear gripping them. It was as if a voice in their head whispered that they should stay in the safety of the corner and avoid the crowd. Despite the challenges, Joseph took a deep breath and pushed themselves forward. They approached a small group discussing their favorite movies. It seemed harmless enough. Taking a seat beside them, Joseph tried to join in. I really liked that last superhero movie, they said, hoping to break the ice. But the moment the words left their lips, awkwardness rushed over them like freezing water. The others turned to look, and for a brief moment, the chatter stopped. To Joseph's dismay, the group seemed uninterested. One person merely nodded, while another looked down at their phone. The conversation quickly shifted back to their previous topic. Joseph felt their face grow warm. The tiny moment of connection they had hoped for slipped away, and they wished they could disappear. The same feelings of self-doubt gripped Joseph tighter now. Poor timing and awkwardness only pushed them further into the background. With each passing moment, Joseph pondered whether it was worth putting themselves out there again. As the party continued, Joseph tried to move to another group, hoping to strike a better conversation. They approached a couple of friends chatting about traveling. Gathering their courage, Joseph listened for a moment before finding a small opening to share a story about a recent trip. However, as they spoke, they misjudged the timing and interrupted someone else. The energy shifted again, and they felt the familiar rush of embarrassment. They could see the annoyance flicker across one friend's face before they got back on track. Seconds later, they found themselves standing in silence again, wishing they had just stayed quiet. Frustration built inside Joseph. Why was connecting so hard? Each failed attempt to share felt like a setback. They recalled the promise made to themselves, desperately wanting to change but feeling like they remained in the same place. It became increasingly difficult to hold on to hope amid their growing insecurities. Suddenly, a voice inside reminded them that setbacks are part of growth. Perhaps struggling was normal. It did not mean they would never find their place among others. Feeling a slight determination rise again, Joseph took a moment to observe the party. They noticed others also sat at the edge, trying to engage but not fully succeeding. Perhaps Joseph was not alone in feeling this way. Behind the laughter and the conversations, there were hidden struggles. Suddenly, the idea of reaching out to show understanding made Joseph feel less isolated. In that moment, Joseph knew they had to keep trying, to step into the discomfort and embrace the chance to change. The journey toward connection could be challenging, but it was one they were willing to take. As the party continued to buzz with energy, Joseph felt a shift in the air. A moment of stillness washed over them as they stepped back to collect their thoughts. They could see laughter and joy all around, yet they felt a heaviness in their heart. The sting of disappointment was sharp from their failed attempts to connect. Thoughts raced through Joseph's mind, reminding them of every awkward moment and every rejected comment. It felt like a wall had been built around them, trapping them in loneliness. For a brief moment, they wondered if they would always struggle in social situations. As Joseph moved toward the snack table, half-heartedly reaching for a chip, they spotted Taylor, an old friend, standing nearby. Taylor had always been warm and approachable, the kind of person who could easily connect with anyone. Seeing Taylor often brought a sense of stability. Joseph hesitated, unsure whether to approach them. Just as they were about to turn away, a soft smile from Taylor signaled an invitation. Courage filled Joseph for just a moment as they walked over, hoping for a brief but meaningful conversation. "Hey, Joseph, I'm glad to see you," Taylor said brightly. The warmth in their voice brought a small smile to Joseph's face. But soon, bad memories filled their mind. Yeah, I've been around," Joseph responded, feigning casualness as they felt awkward once again. It was difficult to keep the spark going in the conversation. After exchanging a few words about the party, Taylor switched emotional gears. "You know, Joseph, we all have those moments when we feel unsure. I've been there too. But you can always grow from it. It only counts if you keep trying," Taylor said with true understanding. Those words struck Joseph deeply. It was as if Taylor's voice pierced through the fog of self-doubt. Did it really matter if they stumbled? Did everyone experience social fear? A mix of gratitude and hope stirred inside them. For the first time, Joseph felt a sense of agency. They realized they were on the brink of change. The recognition that growth came from trying, rather than succeeding, switched something on in Joseph's heart. With every genuine smile, Taylor reminded Joseph that it was acceptable to feel fear. A life filled with connections depended on the willingness to step out of comfort zones. As laughter echoed through the party, Joseph blocked out the noise and focused on Taylor's message. The idea of just keeping on trying didn't feel as heavy anymore. It was liberating. Joseph closed their eyes for a moment, visualizing a future where they could confidently join a group, share stories, and make new friends without fear. "I can do this," Joseph whispered to themselves, feeling a spark of determination. They were determined to face each conversation afraid or not and learn from every friendly experience. That was the turning point, the moment when Joseph decided to leave behind the fear that held them back. A shift was taking root within. It was time to embrace the discomfort of social situations. This commitment to themselves felt empowering. Instead of only looking for acceptance from others, they realized acceptance had to start within. A wave of confidence began to build. Standing taller with newfound resolve, Joseph was ready to take that leap into the unknown and face social challenges head-on. With a newfound sense of determination, Joseph steeled themselves for the next challenges ahead. The party buzzed with conversation, and as Taylor stepped away to chat with someone else, Joseph felt a moment of panic. Yet, instead of retreating into solitude, Joseph took a deep breath. They reminded themselves of the goal to engage. It was time to put their thoughts into action. They had promised to keep trying, even if the steps were small. Scanning the room, Joseph noticed a small group near the music, laughing and joking together. Among them was Mia, someone from their professional circle who always seemed friendly. Joseph had seen her at meetings but never had a real conversation. "This is it. You can do this," they thought, holding their breath for a moment. Gaining courage, Joseph walked over, heart racing. As they approached, they could hear the lively chatter and infectious laughter. "Hi, everyone," Joseph said, trying to sound cheerful and confident. Mia turned and smiled, her eyes lighting up with recognition. "Hey, Joseph, join us," she called out, making it easier for Joseph to step into the circle. The warmth of Mia's welcome felt like a lifeline. Joseph felt less afraid, more ready to engage. Taking a deep breath, Joseph initiated small talk. "What do you think of this music? It's quite lively," they said, gesturing slightly toward the speaker. To Joseph's surprise, the group visibly brightened at the question. "I love it. It makes you want to dance," Mia replied enthusiastically. Encouraged by her response, Joseph felt butterflies in their stomach, but they pushed forward. "Maybe we should all dance." They smiled, even taking a playful step to the side as if ready to get moving. Laughter erupted in the circle, and Joseph relaxed a bit more. "I'm not sure if I can dance," one person joked. "Neither am I," Joseph confessed, which made everyone laugh harder. This easy back and forth shifted the mood. Still, the best part was hearing the supportive remarks that followed. They were not only accepted, they had traveled from awkwardness to warmth with simple laughter and smiles. As the conversation flowed, Joseph continued practicing active listening. They nodded as others spoke, leaning in slightly to show engagement. When someone else shared a funny story about a dancing mishap, Joseph listened intently and then offered, "That sounds hilarious. I had a similar moment once." Sharing was easier now, like opening a door to a friendlier space. Here, there was no shame in being funny or clumsy, just shared experiences. Suddenly, Joseph remembered the advice from Taylor about trying new things. Taking a brave leap, they found a moment to look directly into each person's eyes as they spoke. The fear of connection gently faded, replaced by warmth and understanding. A new spark of confidence lit within Joseph. Before long, the group planted seeds of friendship. They shared smiles and genuine interest, making Joseph feel more alive than ever before. As more stories flowed, they felt light and free, something they had not experienced in a long time. These small actions had been steps toward a wider understanding of connection, laughter, and vulnerability. It dawned on Joseph that social skills were more about being present and building links with others, step by step. Feeling the joy of progress, Joseph knew they had turned a corner. Each small interaction counted, planting the seeds of deeper connections in their heart. Change was happening through courage, and they were starting to discover the rich rewards of human connection. That night, Joseph realized that they were on a journey of growth and hope, filled with possibilities for even more adventure. After the party, Joseph felt lighter and more confident. The joy of engaging with others tasted sweet. They realized that the small steps toward social connection truly made a difference. The next day at work, Joseph was eager to practice their new skills again. It was a busy morning, but they decided to greet colleagues in the office with a warm smile. "Good morning. How did your weekend go?" Joseph asked Sam, a coworker they had seldom talked to before. To their delight, Sam smiled back and shared a fun story about hiking. Listening intently, Joseph found it not only easy to engage but also enjoyable to connect with Sam. These moments were like little sparks of change. With every conversation, Joseph felt more at ease. Attending meetings became less daunting, too. Instead of staying quiet, they made a point to contribute at least one idea in every discussion. At first, it only felt like a whisper, but with practice, their voice grew stronger. Responding to questions and offering thoughts turned into a habit rather than a fear. Colleagues began to notice this shift and responded positively, sharing smiles and encouragement. Outside of work, Joseph put their skills to good use in social situations. They joined a weekend soccer game with some friends. After the match, sitting together with teammates, Joseph shared a lighthearted story that made everyone laugh. The ease of conversation flowed as they felt connections deepen. It was a thrilling realization. Friends were becoming genuine companions, and the interactions were far from awkward. Conversations felt fresh and fun rather than forced and uncomfortable. Time passed, and Joseph reflected often on how much had changed. In the evenings, they sat down to journal, noting their thoughts and experiences. Each entry highlighted how decisions to engage grew more satisfying each time. The old fears seemed to fade like yesterday's shadow. Cultivating social skills was no longer a burden but rather an exciting adventure. They felt proud of their progress. With these changes came a new perspective on relationships. Joseph noticed how easy it was to connect with strangers when they walked into the cafe or visited local events. The hesitation that used to grip them had loosened its hold. They found it effortless to maintain eye contact and smile as they spoke. Each moment seemed to become an opportunity for learning, for growing closer to others. Through their journey, Joseph became a beacon for others, inspiring friends to step out of their comfort zones. 2. Various trips to local markets and community gatherings turned into joyful gatherings of friends, filled with laughter and stories. The shared experiences created lasting bonds formed through openness and active listening. As each wonderful moment unfolded, a sense of control blossomed within Joseph. They began to understand the truth of the advice Taylor had given. Growth comes through consistent effort and the willingness to stay engaged. Empowerment surged through them, reminding Joseph that they held the tools to keep moving forward. Each practice and encounter brought them closer to building meaningful relationships. The feeling of hope filled their heart, showing them that the journey had just begun. Embracing life, putting forth effort, and embracing genuine interactions had turned into celebrations of warm connections. As Joseph continued to grow in confidence, they noticed not just a change in their social interactions, but also a newfound strength within themselves. This transformation extended beyond light conversation. It opened eyes to the importance of boundaries in personal and professional relationships. One day, while working on a project, Joseph witnessed something troubling. A colleague named Jamie was being criticized harshly by their boss in front of the entire team. The verbal attacks were aggressive, leaving Jamie visibly shaken. Joseph felt a strong urge to intervene. They remembered the times they had felt powerless in similar situations and understood the need for speaking out. With a racing heart, Joseph stood up, surprising even themselves. "Excuse me," they said, projecting their voice calmly. "I think we should take a moment to discuss this in a more respectful way." The room fell silent, and startled eyes turned toward Joseph. It was both exhilarating and frightening to speak up, but the well-being of Jamie mattered more than their fear. The boss looked taken aback, caught off guard by Joseph's interruption. "This is a private matter," the boss snapped, but Joseph felt a surge of determination. They pressed on. "I believe that how we talk to each other is important. Dealing with feedback can be done effectively and gracefully. It affects the entire team." Joseph's voice held a confident tone that they didn't know they could possess. What followed was a tension-filled silence, and Joseph tried to gauge the reactions around them. To their surprise, a few of their colleagues started nodding in agreement. Kim, who had always observed quietly, added, "I think we can all be better with our words." This support from the team gave Joseph a rush of hope. They were not alone in wanting a better working environment. However, the boss remained unswayed and angrily dismissed the conversation, ordering everyone to return to work. Leaving the confrontation, Joseph felt both worried and invigorated. They had taken a risk by standing up, and although it resulted in tension, it sparked something crucial among their group. It felt as if a silent shift began to happen. Conversations started filling the break room rather than silence. Colleagues began sharing small frustrations together and talking openly about the need for a friendly workplace atmosphere. Joseph sensed a growing collective strength emanating from the team. Bruised by the confrontation, Jamie approached Joseph days later after work. "Thank you for speaking up," Jamie said softly, their eyes shining with gratitude. "I didn't know anyone cared enough to say something. You made a difference, even if it felt small." The impact of that moment spilled warmth into Joseph's heart. This confirmation strengthened Joseph's resolve. They were learning that setting boundaries improved not just their well-being, but others as well. The feedback became vital for cultivating support among their coworkers. With each day, Joseph realized that nurturing an encouraging work environment required expressing needs and advocating for oneself and others. Together, they began efforts to open dialogue about uncomfortable situations. Joseph helped guide discussions around concerns, leading to better communication across the team. Change was not instant, and at times pushback emerged. The boss expressed displeasure at the team's new openness, reminding them to focus entirely on productivity. Yet each little act of standing firm slowly began to foster an understanding. The team faced challenges, but instead of feeling defeated, Joseph found hope in the initiative they created. Through engaging and empowering one another, Joseph watched friendships strengthen, believing entirely that focusing on respectful dialogue brought everyone closer to creating a healthier workplace. This rosy path opened up more doors, and Joseph knew they had begun crafting a culture based on trust, respect, and camaraderie. Every step, big or small, led toward building better boundaries for themselves and their colleagues. As weeks passed, Joseph settled into the newfound courage they had discovered. The workplace began to change with every small effort the team made. Together, they tackled challenges, working toward a supportive atmosphere. One Friday afternoon brought a pivotal moment that would cement Joseph's growth and show that change truly mattered. The team gathered for a meeting to discuss the progress on their project. Everyone seemed eager, pumping up the energy in the room. Then the boss entered, tension rising as the meeting began. During the discussions, the boss continued to voice harsh comments, blaming several team members for minor setbacks. Joseph felt the familiar churn of anxiety as the tone grew critical. This time, however, Joseph took a deep breath, holding onto the empowerment they had built. When their colleague, Daniel, voiced concern again over the criticism, Joseph quickly joined in. They said, "We are all working hard, and feedback can be helpful if it's respectful. We need to communicate better." This statement was bold. To their surprise, other team members nodded along, feeling the strength of unity in the vulnerable moment. It was comforting to see support blossom and togetherness grow as everyone echoed agreement with nods and confirming murmurs. Suddenly, Julie, a quieter coworker, spoke up. "I appreciate how we can share ideas now. It makes our team stronger." Joseph couldn't believe what they were witnessing. It was a wave of warmth on a chilly day. This was a moment that crystallized how far they had come. People were standing up for each other now, and a sense of connection filled the air. Even when the boss dismissed their concerns with irritation, the strength didn't falter. Following the meeting, Joseph felt a rush of positivity. Their determination to support the team blossomed, growing from small acts of kindness and bravery within each colleague's heart. As they turned to leave, Daniel approached Joseph with a big smile and said, "Thanks for speaking up. You have become a strong voice for us. It matters more than you know." Joseph felt the warmth of those words sink deep, reinforcing their decision to stand up not just for themselves, but for others. That simple act validated the changes Joseph had made in their approach to relationships. Although the environment could sometimes be toxic, they understood that setting boundaries would always pay off. Taking risks opened doors to growing connections, even amidst negativity. When the next project deadlines approached, Joseph put in extra effort. They organized quick brainstorming sessions, inviting everyone to collaborate and voice their opinions. As input flowed freely, Joseph watched teamwork improve, and so did the project itself. The once muted voices began to shape creative ideas. Each moment fostered unmatched progress. Over time, many shared smiles, laughter, and a newfound camaraderie replaced the tension. This small but powerful win solidified Joseph's growth. They now found not only a voice for themselves but also for others, too. Still, through it all, they remained genuinely appreciative that teamwork could lead to change. As deadlines approached, Joseph clung to the reassuring reminder that they were equipped with a supportive circle. Each win fed into the greater vision of a cooperative work environment. This epiphany stirred a realization in Joseph. Connection, understanding, and expressing boundaries became keys to both personal and shared success. They felt grateful for the journey, excited by the progress both inside and outside the workplace. With every response of kindness and respect, Joseph felt every bridge broken down by negativity transformed into pathways stamped with gratitude. They would remain vigilant, carrying forward these lessons. Having embraced change, Joseph was ready to step into a future filled with hope, friendship, and strength. As the weeks turned into months, Joseph looked back at how much had changed. The environment at work transformed into a place filled with energy and respect. Team members felt free to voice their ideas and concerns. Thanks to Joseph's courage, the atmosphere had shifted from one of anxiety to one of collaboration. They marveled at the connections being formed daily. Genuine conversations replaced awkward silence, and laughter echoed through the halls. Outside of work, life blossomed too. Joseph's friendships deepened significantly. They found that expressing feelings honestly not only attracted friendships but strengthened them. Social events now felt less intimidating and more inviting. When meeting friends or attending gatherings, Joseph wore a smile that reflected their inner growth. They were finding ease in sharing stories and asking questions, discovering what interested others while also revealing parts of their own life. With every gathering, each relationship took on richer colors, painting a lively picture of community and support. One sunny Saturday afternoon, Joseph attended a picnic in the park organized by friends. As they arrived, they felt excited rather than anxious. They were ready to embrace new moments. The group was lighter in spirit, enjoying food and games under the warm sun. Once again, Joseph found themselves jumping into conversations. When a friend shared a recent hardship, Joseph listened compassionately and responded thoughtfully. "It must be tough, but remember, you have us to help you through. Let's figure it out together." Expressions of gratitude from their friends echoed in their heart. Listening and being present created bonds that deepened in ways Joseph never thought possible. At work, Joseph's confidence soared further. Their contributions in meetings were taken with respect and seriousness. The boss began appreciating Joseph's ideas and insights, and teamwork flourished. Joseph felt proud watching fellow colleagues excel and share their aspirations without fear of criticism. By advocating for a positive environment, they had fostered teamwork that stirred creativity and growth among everyone. Moreover, Joseph understood that social skills weren't reserved just for big gatherings or meetings. They carried value in everyday interactions too. Holding doors for strangers, greeting neighbors, or sharing small compliments became second nature. Simple moments built a foundation from which deeper connections emerged. They felt empowered in their choices and believed in the power of vulnerability and openness. The journey transformed Joseph's mindset completely. No longer did they hide behind anxiety or shyness. Instead, they embraced their voice, realizing that being authentic invited others in. Each exchange brought new understanding and deeper appreciation for what it meant to connect. In crossing these bridges of growth, Joseph realized that the world was not as daunting as they had once perceived. Embracing social interactions was akin to nurturing a beautiful garden. It needed care, time, and attention, but the rewards blossomed into friendships, support, and learning. With newfound excitement, Joseph looked toward the future. They knew that while obstacles would arise, they now possessed the skills and mindset to tackle them. The connections they built wouldn't just elevate work life. They could bring joy and positive changes into every area of their life. Looking forward, they felt empowered, ready to face any new challenge with hope. Joseph now believed in themselves and in the vast possibilities ahead, holding on to the truth that each day was an opportunity for connection and growth. The path helped them shape a life they cherished, one empowered by confidence, understanding, and companionship. A few months later, life felt brighter and fuller for Joseph. The changes in their social skills and mindset shaped their daily experiences in wonderful ways. With every effort to communicate and listen, Joseph built stronger friendships, each woven from strands of kindness and understanding. New connections formed, and relationships blossomed into something real and meaningful. But change wasn't only happening in personal life. One day, Joseph earned an opportunity that excited them. An offer for a new job. It was similar to their current role, but with more responsibilities and a chance to work on larger projects. Joseph felt a mix of nerves and thrill, remembering how far they had come. They understood this was another chance to put their skills to use in a fresh environment. With new coworkers to meet, more challenges awaited. On their first day at the new job, Joseph arrived early, filled with ambition. They walked through the doors of the new office with confidence. Instead of retreating into silence, Joseph chose to greet coworkers with warm smiles. "Hi, I'm Joseph. I'm so excited to be here." they said as they approached different groups with openness. Engaging with enthusiasm not only helped Joseph feel at home but also opened doors to remember each name and make authentic connections. Slowly, Joseph began sharing ideas during meetings and offered help to team members. They found joy in supporting others while channeling their creative spirit. If a colleague faced challenges, Joseph would listen patiently and provide encouragement. They realized that every friendly conversation was an opportunity for growth, both for themselves and those around them. As weeks passed, Joseph recognized patterns that propelled their further success. They practiced active listening daily, remembering everyone they spoke to well. Addressing individuals by name and asking them about their projects showed that Joseph cared about their contributions. People felt valued, building a spirit of camaraderie in the workplace. The excitement didn't stop at the new job. Joseph maintained the friendships already formed outside of work. Weekends filled with joyful gatherings fostered laughter over shared meals and memories. Joseph even signed up for a community class on public speaking to boost their skills even more. They took notes on body language and practiced speaking in front of a group. Each lesson turned into a chance to gain new skills, becoming a stepping stone toward continued growth. As Joseph moved forward, they felt thrilled to face future challenges. They had come to realize that embracing change was essential to continued success. Growth was endless, and each interaction in the workplace or among friends encouraged a vibrant community of support. The lessons learned filled every day with opportunities for connection, heartfelt conversations, and understanding others. The future sparkled with promise as Joseph embraced healthier habits. Mentally and emotionally, they practiced mindfulness, allowing room for reflection during challenging moments. They explored ways to tackle setbacks with grace, reinforcing the foundation established during their journey of self-discovery. Joseph could now visualize their path ahead, filled with trusted friends, supportive colleagues, and boundless personal development. The confidence gained forged resistance against negativity and self-doubt, gifts that would carry through any trials and triumphs yet unseen. As they reflected on their journey, Joseph knew they held the tools to navigate whatever life would bring next. Equipped with their growing skills and the power to connect, they stood ready for new adventures. The change from within had produced genuine joy in their heart and community, ready for whatever the future might hold.